Just sorry you saw us at our silly. It's one of the things we do to get ourselves to be able to breathe and relax before we come together for services. Every week brings its own challenges, and some weeks feel a little bit harder than others. But something we can always look forward to is coming together, whether we are in our sanctuary or in our homes, still gathering together as the sun begins to set on Friday night, coming together as a community, seeking a little bit of peace, seeking a little bit of friendship, seeking a little bit of Shabbat Shalom. And so we begin this evening with a prayer to open up our hearts and to bring peace to our souls. Please join us.
Ki eshmer Shabbat eish mereini, Ki eshmer Shabbat eish mereini, oti leomehad beino veni, oti leomehad beino veni, ki eshmer Shabbat eish mereini, ki eshmer Shabbat eish mereini.
The value of hospitality is one of the utmost importance in Judaism. If you look at our bima, you see the beautiful canopy above our ark and above the bima, a beautiful canopy that reminds us of Abraham's tent, open on all sides. On Friday night, when we open the door for the Shabbat bride, we are welcoming in Shabbat itself. A reminder to us that Shabbat doesn't just happen, it has to be invited into our homes and into our hearts. So please join us for Lecha Dodi, beginning on page 138.
Lecha Dodi, Likrot Kala, Likrot Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabla, Nekabla, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach, Shamor v'zachor, V'dibur echad, V'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet, V'liteilah, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Mevorach, Likrat Shabbat, Leku v'nelecha, Ki mekor haberacha, Merosh mikedem, Nesucha, Nesucha, Sof ma'aseh, Ve'machshava techila, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי, שיר דברי כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה, שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום ומבורך.
בואי בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום ומבורך.
What you couldn't see was while the Sabbath bride didn't come in my house, a dog did. And she left. Maybe that is what the Sabbath bride is looking like these days. And she left at the end of the song.
She had other homes to visit.
She did. So as we light the Shabbat candles tonight, I am thinking of our bar mitzvah and his family tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing Ben Wilson called to the Torah tomorrow to be a bar mitzvah. And I know that his parents, Beth and Josh, and his whole family, all of his grandparents and brothers, and everyone is really looking forward to celebrating with us tomorrow morning. So Ben, if you and your family are watching, these candles remind us of the brightness that your drash will bring into this world. You have a good heart and a sweet soul. We continue with Sholem Aleichem on page 142, but the candle blessing will be on page 120.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzipanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
You're on mute, Rabbi.
And that is the meaning of life.
Yes.
For those who are able to rise, we invite you to please rise for the Baruch Hu, for the call to worship on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We continue on page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 150.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
We continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam veshivtecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelahechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Amen.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, Give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again, we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Lai la 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 lai la 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 lai lai la lai la 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 lai lai la lai la 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 lai lai la lai la 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 lai Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nehedar v'kodesh norat tehilo osefel norat tehilo osefel malechutecha ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה. זה אלי, ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם בהר. די 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 די
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Continue with the Hashkivenu on page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Tamidenu malkeinu Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. Tamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. Tamidenu malkeinu lechaim.
We continue together with the Vishamru on page 162.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam brit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam Sheshet Yamin Asa Adonai Shabbat vayinapash V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat La'asot et Shabbat L'dorotam brit olam L'dorotam brit olam.
We rise for the tefillah beginning on page 164.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agidei latecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor B'Hanora, El Elyon, Omer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot B'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol, Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Morid atah, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh Hakol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Atzurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishanei Afar, Michamocha Ba'Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neman atalach hayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue praying privately from page 172 through 180, either standing or sitting, as is your custom.
ratzonim revi Begyom libi Yiyun ratzonim revi Begyom libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri Begali Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri Begali Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you, oh my rock and my redeemer. You merotzoni mrefi v'hekyom libi. You merotzoni mrefi v'hekyom libi lefanecha.
Cantor?
We're now taking a pause for the Misha Berach Lecholim, which can be found on page 371.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor Habracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imoteinu Mekor Habracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I have felt overwhelmed this week, vacillating between horrified and depressed. Let me explain why. I've been reading the book for my book club this coming Sunday. The book is called 400 Souls, A Community History of African America, 1619 to 2019. It's a powerful anthology raising up different stories and issues around race, class, and gender in America. And when the book was more than I could handle, I would take breaks and turn on the news, which was probably not the best idea for a break, because there I would see the problems described in the book come to life in living color on my television screen as I watched the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd. And then the broadcasting of the trial was interrupted with the press conference about the murder of Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. And then that story was followed up with an update about the Army medic who was pulled over and assaulted with pepper spray by a police officer in Virginia for the crime of driving while Black. In today's news big headline was that we now have a white supremacist caucus in Congress. And this was on top of the many, many stories about the horrifying increase of attacks on the Asian American community, the children who are still detained at the border, the voter suppression bills currently being proposed in 45 states, and the onslaught of legislative bills targeting trans people in many of the same states that are trying to legalize voter suppression. With all of these things happening, while I was reading about how deeply rooted issues of class, gender, and race are embedded in the fabric of American society, I've been finding it difficult to feel optimistic about the future of our country. But then as I sat down to read the Jewish press and was reading stories about Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israeli Independence Day, I was reminded of what Theodore Herzl wrote in 1902 in the introduction to his utopian novel called Altneuland, the Old New Land. He wrote, "Wenn ihr wollt, ist es kein Märchen," or as it was translated into Hebrew, "Im tirtzu, ein zo agada." And in English, "If you will it, it is no dream." Theodore Herzl, of course, was talking about the 2,000-year-old dream of a Jewish homeland in Eretz Yisrael. In 1902, this sounded as unattainable and unrealistic to most Jews. The possibility of there being a viable Jewish nation that was recognized by all the nations of the world just seemed like a fantasy. And yet, 46 years later, the modern state of Israel was recognized by the United Nations. Jewish self-rule was unimaginable in 1902 as an America that treats all people with justice and equality is today. But to be Jewish is to hold on to the hope that the impossible is possible. Im tirtzu, ein zo agoda. If you will it, it is no dream. A few years before his book Altneuland was published, Herzl wrote these words following the First Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland. He said, "At Basel, I founded the Jewish state. If I said this out loud today, I would be greeted by universal laughter. In 5 years, and certainly in 50 years, everyone will perceive this." That was on September 3rd, 1897. Exactly 50 years later, November 29th, 1947, the United Nations voted the state of Israel into reality. What turned that dream into something real? A lot of hard work and sacrifice by many, many individuals willing to work together for something bigger than themselves. And the fact that those 50 years were perhaps the bloodiest 50 years in Jewish history, and that it took the murder of 1/3 of the Jewish people before the world recognized that what was happening to the Jewish people was unacceptable. The change in the world opinion from 1897 to 1947 was incremental and painful, and it required not only persistence and faith, but also having non-Jewish allies to work with us in order for it to come to fruition. And God knows the dream that we envisioned is not perfect, and we have made many mistakes along the way. But today, most Jews enjoy the freedom and autonomy that our ancestors could only dream about. For so many of us, the structural racism and inequality we see in our country on a daily basis is beyond unacceptable. This is not what we want for anyone who lives in our country. So what can we do? How do we make the dream of an America that treats all people with dignity and with justice and with equality a reality? Where do we start? We start with ourselves. As Hillel taught, what is hateful to you, do not do to others. Living in countries that did not see us as fully human, communities who deemed us as lesser than or morally corrupt or dangerous, unworthy of protection and undeserving of equality in the eyes of the law, this was hateful to us. So we must start by examining what we think we know about ourselves and others. We must look at our own prejudices and biases. We must look at and try to understand how both privilege and pain colors the way we see the world and how we walk in it. What is hateful to you, do not do to others. While we may not always be aware of it, the Jewish community, by and large, as a community, lives with great privilege in this country. Most of us can blend in with the larger society, and there are Jews in positions of influence and power. And no longer are there universities or jobs or neighborhoods that are closed to us. And while we might protect our synagogues with gates and security systems, the reality is that most of us are not afraid to be stopped by the police or to put mezuzot on our doorposts. Our children have access to good schools and safe neighborhoods, and we can give those children names like Avi or Zev, Aviva or Alana, and not worry that it will affect them adversely when applying for jobs or for loans. I'm not negating that there's anti-Semitism in America. Of course there is. What I'm saying is that many of us have not even begun to understand what it is like to start the race of life 50 feet behind the starting line. As the saying goes, we may all be in the same storm, but we are not all in the same boat. And for those of us who are in more sturdy boats, we must not only work with those who are in more fragile crafts, but we must listen to what they are saying about how they are affected by the storm and what they need to be able to deal with it and to survive it. If we are amongst those who rail against institutional racism in America, we must also remember that every person who lives here, every single one of us, is part of that institution in some way. And every one of us is either benefiting from or being harmed by that institution. And for change to occur in the institution we call the United States of America, we must first begin with ourselves. As Mahatma Gandhi famously said, you must be the change you want to see in the world. It's not enough for us to be angry. Outrage without action does nothing, and it helps no one. As I said, change does not happen overnight, but bit by bit, day after day, year after year of people working together for a cause greater than themselves and willing to make sacrifices. This is how real change will occur. So we start with ourselves and with our families. We move on to our congregations and our communities, doing what we can to raise awareness within ourselves and to understand how implicit bias shapes our school curriculums, workplaces, and even our houses of worship. Then we reach out to build bridges and relationships and listen to the important stories others have to tell. And then we look for ways to change the world every day, every single day. We can do things like fight against voter suppression. We can work for prison reform and better training and greater accountability for law enforcement, or even a reimagining of what law enforcement should look like. We can advocate for a curriculum that teaches a fuller and more accurate history of America, a history that is much more diverse and complex than most of us were taught growing up. And we could speak out every time we are witnesses to any form of bias or discrimination, even if it's in our own families or our own synagogue. And we can remember that no matter how much work we have done to be open-minded or socially conscious, We all still have old, hidden, learned biases that we need to continue to work on and to eradicate within ourselves. In the postscript of the book Altneuland, Herzl wrote, "Dream and deed are not as different as many think. All the deeds of humankind are dreams at first and become dreams in the end." So let us dream together, of not just a country, but of a world that treats every person with dignity and inalienable rights, rights that our governments will strive to preserve and protect. A world where we finally see and honor the humanity in every person. And then let's turn those dreams into a reality. Im nirtza ein zo agada. If we will it, it is no dream. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Yasher koach. Brother Martin was walking with me. Every step I heard liberty. Though he's fallen, come a million behind. Glory, hallelujah, gonna make it this time. No easy walk to freedom. No easy walk to freedom. Keep on walking, you shall be free. It's how we're gonna make history. Bread for the body, there's got to be, but the soul will die without liberty. Pray for the day when the struggle is past. Freedom for all, free at last, free at last. No easy walk to freedom. No easy walk to freedom. Keep on walking and you shall be free. That's how we're gonna make history. In our land, just a few days ago, we've seen more killing, that's how we know. Slavery's abolished, but the struggle still calls. Keep on walking till police violence falls. It's no easy walk to freedom. No easy walk to freedom. Keep on walking, you shall be free. It's how we're gonna make history. Brother Dante, he died too young. That's why this song, it has to be sung. Work for the day when being black's not a crime. So we stand up and shout one more time. No easy walk to freedom. No easy walk to freedom. Keep on walking, you shall be free. It's how we're gonna make history. Well, it's no easy walk to freedom. No easy walk to freedom. Keep on walking and you shall be free. It's how we're gonna change history, you and me.
Michael, you always manage a way to sing what my heart is feeling. Thank you. And Cantor, I know we have many, many, many things coming up on the calendar. I know Cantors usually only get to sing, but tonight I'd love to hear your voice actually talking.
You want me to announce to you what we are doing. So tonight we have an oneg and vibe for our teens right after services. And tomorrow morning we start as usual with Torah study at 9:30. And as Rabbi mentioned earlier, we will be celebrating Benjamin Wilson becoming bar mitzvah at our 10:30 a.m. service. And I hope that you come and enjoy watching Benjamin take that big step. Sunday, we are back to religious school. with a Yom HaAtzmaut, with some celebration of Israel Independence Day. And Rabbi will continue her book club at 10:30. At 12:45 on Sunday, there is a 9th grade confirmation orientation. Sunday is a very busy day. 4 p.m., Kesher's immigration justice discussion. And I am assuming that 7 p.m. Achim group will be canceled on Sunday.
Yes, sorry, Cantor, yes, it's canceled on Sunday night.
Yes. So make note of that. On Tuesday, April 20th, Rabbi is hosting Lunch and Learn at noon. And that brings us.
The topic will actually be what around what tonight's sermon was.
Wonderful. So on Friday, it brings us around to next Friday. Look how quickly the week just goes, with services at 7:30. And next Friday on April 23rd, we will have a virtual ONEG. The following Saturday, after Torah study at 9:30, we will be celebrating another bar mitzvah, the bar mitzvah of Jake Governor. And a week from this Saturday, on the 24th, we will have junior youth group Bob Ross night, 7th and 8th graders. I have a feeling you'll be seeing lots of pretty little clouds and pretty little trees.
These kids were even alive when Bob Ross was on television?
Bob Ross is not a person. Bob Ross is a feeling. I think Bob Ross transcends generations. I think it's in our DNA now. I
feel like that's a bumper sticker waiting to happen.
Oh, nice. With the pretty little clouds and the pretty little trees. And you know what, in all seriousness, I think we need a little more Bob Ross in our lives right about now. A week from Sunday, we continue with religious school. Katantan will be joining us at 10 a.m. And there will be, mark your calendars, a Madrachim meeting at noon and a 12:30 faculty development meeting, followed by 5 p.m. Kesher Midor Ledor meeting number 2. Now, if that wasn't enough in terms of announcements for you, please feel free to check this week's Chadashot to keep on top of every item on the website. We have lots and lots and lots going on, as you can tell. And we hope that you will be able to, I know that Maggie wants to, I hope that you will all be able to join.
Can you hear Maggie right now?
Oh, I love hearing Maggie right now.
Okay, Maggie needs to go elsewhere. I'll be right back. Keep talking, Cantor.
Maggie is busy celebrating Shabbat with us. Rabbi went to take care of Maggie and she didn't realize we're out of announcements. I can see Michael's face. But you know what? There's a lot going on at B'nai Israel. I think it's absolutely fabulous that Rabbi has Maggie, her little dog, who keeps her busy and keeps her going. Our children grow up. We need to have somebody who needs us to take them into the other room. You're still on mute.
No, Maggie came back in here because I can't find the other child, and I decided I don't want Maggie to dig a hole through my door.
Yeah, or your couch or any other things. Yes, I know.
It's just like when Maggie, it's just like when Avi was a toddler.
Yes, yes, only 4 paws. And that takes us to the end of announcements, and we continue with our service. We continue with the Aleinu, which can be found on the bottom half of page 586. If you are able, I invite you to please rise. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet kedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, Shalo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. Please be seated.
While it is not our practice to say Kaddish for those who have not yet been buried, it is our custom to announce the passing of those who have died and whose burial is in the coming week. I know that some of you saw the announcement that both my sister-in-law and I posted on Facebook that my mother-in-law has passed away. Alice Hamill was an extraordinary woman and very wise. When I first came to Sacramento, she told her son that he should come and meet the rabbi because she thought that he should ask her out. He told her that he thought it'd be in bad taste to hit on the rabbi at Shabbat services, and that if she thought that he'd be interested in me, that he probably wouldn't be. And it took my husband, a year and a half and somebody else to push him into asking me out before he finally did. And Alice was always angry that she didn't get credit for making the match that she thought that her son should have. She was a fixture at B'nai Israel, active in many different areas of synagogue life. But in my heart, she will always be the world's greatest grandmother, filled with love and wonder and with the patience that most parents don't have. And that's why children get grandparents, so that somebody else can light that magic inside of them. So Alice passed away this afternoon around just before 4 p.m. We will have a private COVID compliant burial next week. And very likely there will be a Zoom memorial service for her on Wednesday night. When all the details are finalized, we will send a notice out to the congregation for those who would like to join our family in remembering and honoring Alice's life.
Rabbi, I know that was very difficult. Thank you for making that announcement. Our hearts go out to you and to Glenn and to your children and to Julie and her husband and their children. Our hearts go out to everyone who. And
I'd really appreciate it if nobody said that I called my husband any names during a service.
I didn't hear anything, no, but I know that Alice would be laughing. And we all share in your grief. We also sadly remember the recent passing of Ruth Fisher, beloved mother of Wendy Fisher and grandmother of Lexi Nicodemus. And it is with sadness that we remember the recent passing of Ada Goldman, beloved mother of Sandra Felderstein, mother-in-law of Stephen Felderstein, beloved grandmother of Janice and Michael Eckenberg, and beloved great-grandmother of Henry and William Eckenberg. And sadly, we remember the recent passing of Mimon Shetrit, the beloved brother of Marie Lutter. We also sadly remember the recent passing of Stuart Joel Dicker, the beloved father of Joshua Dicker, Benjamin Rosen, and Rivka Rosen, and beloved grandfather of Eva and Claire Dicker, Jace Ramaker, and Hannah Rosen. And it is with sadness that we remember the recent passing of Ilona Milch, the beloved mother of Judith Milch, mother-in-law of Rick Goldberg, and beloved grandmother of Henry and Clara Goldberg. And we sadly remember the recent passing of Robert Bob Dinsfriend, the beloved husband of Roz Dinsfriend, and beloved father of Taryn and Felice Dinsfriend. Zichronam livracha, may their memories forever be a blessing. We also remember loved ones who passed away at this time in years past. We remember Mort Behrman, Santos Bendahan, Danny Blacher, Philip Bloom, Sam Bond, Myron Citronbaum, Celerina Christie, Jamie DeVore, Bernice Galt Epstein, Frances Farber, Barbara Fenner, Edith Finkelman, Janice Clamage Frazen, Stefan Freifeld, Robert Gisser, Harold Goldstein, Bill Goodwin, John Gordon Sr., Etta Gottfried, Harmon Granoff, Grady Griffin, Carolyn Nalwai Griffith, Ernest Holland, Hulda Jacobs, Julian Kaplan, Sophie Cash, Edward Kaufman, Fiona Laws, Harold Livingston, Don Luce, Joyce Mandel, Jerome Melvin, Irving Michaels, Howard Pockris, Bernice Porras, Michael Porteous, Giselle Proper, Greg Roth, Rose Deborah Rubin, Norma Scott, James Shelton, Marcia Silver, Martin Small, Eunice Swartz, Ralph Swerdlow, Dan Tannenbaum, Ari Tanner, Shirley Terlesky, Betty Vickery, Ingeborg Wald, Michael Weitzman, Marianne Vanderwerf, and Beatrice Roth Zimmet. If there are names of loved ones for whom you're saying Kaddish, I'd like to invite you to write their names into the chat so that we can remember your loved ones as well. If you are saying Kaddish for a loved one tonight, I'd like to invite you to please rise so that the congregation can join me in these words of comfort. Hamakom yenechem etchem b'toch sha'ar Abalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. I invite our congregation to please rise if you are able, so that we can provide comfort to one another for the mourners Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah ve'alma divra Chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam lo me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. We conclude tonight's service with the words from Rabbi's beautiful drash, her beautiful teaching tonight. Im tirtzu ein zo agada. If you will it, it's no story, it's no legend to be a free people. Tirtzu ein zo agada, ein zo agada, leotam חופשי בארצנו, בארץ ציון וירושלים. תרצו, אם תרצו, אין זו אגדה, אין זו אגדה, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, בארץ ציון וירושלים. שבת שלום.
Shabbat Shalom.